This is your video on solving equations with variables on both sides. These are a little bit more complicated than last week's equations because either one or both sides of the equation, they're not completely simplified. So this first one we're looking at, here we have parentheses. We've got 2 times the quantity 1 minus 2x. So I have to distribute before I have it completely simplified. So what I'm going to do is 2 times 1 plus 2 times negative 2x. So everything inside the parentheses, each term, is multiplied by that 2. So I'm going to finish out each piece. Before I do that, I'm going to write this 4x plus 18 equals 4x plus 18. This side I don't have to do anything with because I have one x term and one constant. I don't have anything that I have to distribute. So I'm just going to keep bringing it down until this side is completely simplified. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then we have positive 2 times negative 2x. So that's going to be negative 4x. And then bring down my other side. So this is an equation that is like the ones that we were looking at last week. Both sides are completely simplified. So I'm going to look at my variable terms. On the left I have negative 4x. On the right I have positive 4x. So like I usually tell you, if you look for the one that's smaller and you go after that one, it'll keep your x term positive, which is good down the road, especially when you're solving inequalities. So because negative 4 is smaller than positive 4, I'm going to go after the negative 4x. It's negative 4x, so I need to add 4x to both sides. I'm going to write that right underneath my x term because I don't want to confuse myself. Remember, you can never add or subtract x terms with constants, only like terms. So negative 4x plus 4x, that just turns into 0, so I just have 2 left. 4x plus 4x is 8x. Bring down that plus 18. Now I want to isolate my 8x because if I do that, I can divide by 8 and then I'm done. Like I've told you before, if you want to swap those two expressions around the equal sign, you can do that. If they're equal, they're equal. It doesn't really matter which goes on which side. So now I'm going to get that 8x by itself. I have a positive 18, so I want to subtract 18 from both sides. When I do that, on the left side that turns into 0, so I have just 8x equals. On the right side, 2 minus 18 is negative 16. And then finally I can divide by my 8. I'll just write it over here. So x equals negative 2. Remember those 8's divide out. I have just x or 1x, and then negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. So now I know my answer should be negative 2. I'm going to check to make sure that it really does make my equation true. Remember, you always want to use the original equation, so that way if you make a mistake in these first couple of steps, it'll still pick it up. So you don't want to use any other version of the equation, anything down here. So make sure you use the original. So my answer was negative 2. I'm going to put a negative 2 everywhere I see an x. So substituting that in there. Alright, so now we have to do everything in the correct order of operations. As long as we do that and we get the same number on both sides, that means we did our job correctly. It does make the equation true. So on the left side I have a big set of parentheses, and inside there I have more than one thing to do. So what I'm going to do is just follow order of operations in there too. So I'm going to multiply before I subtract. Careful, that's negative 2 times negative 2. So what I'll have here is 1, and it's actually plus 4. Because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Over here I'm going to multiply before I add. Back to the left side, I've got to finish out what's in those parentheses. So that's actually 2 times 5, because 1 plus 4 is 5. Over here I can finish this out, so that's going to be negative 8 plus 18, which is 10. And 2 times 5 on the other side is also 10, so it made our equation true.